Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Sermon with Hyde Park United Methodist Church. I'm Matt Hotho, the Director of Production and Online Engagement.
And I'm Sally Campbell-Evans, the Pastor for Congregational Care.
So Sally, what do you got here for sale today?
Well, let me tell you.
No, I'm just joking. If you're watching on YouTube, you know when we do Beyond the Sermon with Sally, there's often things that she has to show us that resonate with her sermon, material things that relate to what she was talking about. And if you're watching on podcast, we'll kind of walk you through some of the stuff that we got here. But before we dive into that, a real quick recap of the sermon. We're in our series, The Call to Care, and we're talking about caring for the elderly and for the aging. And so what did you talk about in brief in your sermon?
Well, caring for one another is a big thing. And in this particular passage, Peter is exhorting us, encouraging all of us as people of faith, elders, leaders in the church, mature Christians, to tend to the flock, tend to the congregation and care for them and do it with humility and do it with tenderness. And so our series is about care, but today it's particularly about older adults, which is the area of the church that I primarily work with. And so it was natural that I got asked to do this sermon. Yeah.
Makes a ton of sense. So let's talk about some of this stuff that you've got here, maybe starting with this wooden plaque.
Yes.
It says, caring is everything.
Indeed. One of our former staff members, Vicki Walker, gave that to me, maybe my second year here. And I've proudly had it on my wall ever since. Because it is. I think caring is everything. It touches every part of our lives. If we would do what we do with care, boy, what a sweeter world this would be.
Yeah, I think I hear sometimes in leadership, when they talk about like leading or public speaking, people don't really care what you have to say. People care how you made them feel. And what they mean by that, I think, is people want to know that you care about them. Yeah. And you do a great job of that.
Well, thank you. It is a gift from God that I don't know that I've always had, but I look forward to caring for people now.
Great. And then we've also got, let's save the books for a second here. Let's talk about some of the other objects here. So we've got this little plastic box here that has something inside of it.
Yes, this was a handy wipes little box.
Okay.
But one of our knitting prayer team members, prayer shawl team, made us a little travel bear.
Oh.
A little baby. So for a child who's in the hospital, or a child who has to go on a long trip, or maybe a child that's sad about something, this little travel bear can come right with them, has its own little bed, and then can just go right in here and just be. So that's just a creative something that one of our team members made.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's about 6 inches tall, and it just kind of, I could see it being something that a child needing some comfort and support. Jackson is 7, and he still has his comfort blanket, and so
exactly,
I would imagine something like that would mean a lot to a child.
Totally.
To feel cared for,
and frankly, some older adults as well.
Yes.
Those teddy bears that we give out. I've gone to different hospital rooms and seen people asleep in their bed, but they've got that teddy bear.
That teddy bear. Yeah.
Pretty powerful.
That is. And then you also have on the table a bigger blanket.
Yes, this is a beautiful prayer shawl. We have a team, mostly women, but anybody is welcome. And if you know how to knit or not, they would teach you, but they knit and crochet.
Wait, knit or not?
Boom, boom. If you don't know how to knit already, they would teach you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
They will teach you also to crochet if you would like. They meet once a month on a Saturday morning and knit away. Wow. And these then are taken to people who maybe are in the hospital or rehab, or maybe they're grieving a loss, and it just is a physical, tangible something to say the church cares for you. But I always like to say to people, imagine it's Christ putting his arms around you whenever you put this on. And so there's always a sweet little note that goes with it. And this is just one of them that was in my office today.
Okay. And so people, I think the note's under here actually, or is it over there?
I think I moved it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So the note just says, "You are loved. May this shawl wrap you in comfort, warmth, and love. In moments of uncertainty, may it remind you that God loves you and you are not alone. Even in the coldest of times, you're surrounded by the warmth of caring hearts and loving prayers. So,
and I know sometimes in church, it's not all about the numbers, but do you have a sense for how many of these you've made over the years, or the team has made over the years?
No.
Okay. That's A-okay. That's A-okay. It still matters. It's still really, really important.
That's right.
So that's Saturday mornings that they do this ministry. That's
They
great.
do.
So you told a story about Anna Nichols and prayer.
Yes. So, in the sermon, I talk about at every stage of our life, God has a use for us. There's a purpose. I think in that statement, I guess God's not done with me yet because I'm still here. I've heard a lot of older adults say, but embedded in that is a theological point that, God's not through with me yet.
Right.
And so God's not through with you either, friends. But Anna Nichols was a story I shared in the sermon. And when she was 88, the year was 2016, and we were doing a big emphasis on serving. So it was say yes to serving, say yes to serve. And she called me on the phone and she said, "Okay, Sally, I want to serve." And I said, "All right, Anna, let me just get this straight." I can vividly remember it. You live with a lot of health issues. She did. And she, at that time, was having horrific back pain. They just couldn't get under control. And I said, "And I think you're going out of town tomorrow for the summer." She spent every summer in New Jersey at Ocean Grove. "And you're leaving tomorrow for the summer and you want to serve." And she said, "That's right, I want to serve." So we just started talking about things. And I knew she was a prayer warrior. She was a praying woman.
Yeah.
So we talked about, well, what if you joined the intercessory prayer team and you prayed from afar? So for that entire summer, for 10 weeks, I don't know how many weeks, for the entire summer she was there with 10 other friends. She gathered at 8:30 in the morning, Monday to Saturday, and prayed for Hyde Park, for the staff, for the members, for those who come on our campus. And it was such a gift that she gave to everybody. I remember it being such a boost to the staff, sharing that in staff meeting that summer. And anyway, it was just a way to say, it doesn't matter our age or our abilities physically. We can still pray.
Yeah.
We can still make phone calls to people. We could still write a card to someone. So.
And Anna's legacy is living on through something that's happening this Sunday in church.
Absolutely. This Sunday, which would have been
yesterday. This past Sunday,
Yes. We are baptizing Anna's great, great, great nieces, triplets.
Wow.
Identical triplets. And so we'll be baptizing them this Sunday. Yesterday. This
is tough. No, but what a beautiful legacy for Anna. And maybe that's a touch point for someone who's listening to this right now to wonder how they can be involved, whether they're local to the Tampa Bay area or not.
Absolutely.
Anna's witness is one of prayer.
Exactly. And I can think of other women and men through the years that I've worked with who are now have gone on to glory. But one of them, she couldn't get out of the house and she would make phone calls. She said, "I can make phone calls. I can call people." I love doing that. I gave her something to do, but it was to check in on people. And then if there's something that comes up that they're having a rough time, then she would call me and say, "Hey, you need to go visit so-and-so because they've sprained their leg," or, whatever it is. So that's such a gift because we in the church office don't always hear about what's going on in people's lives. And so we really count on the church community sharing with us who needs prayer, who needs a visit, who's having a tough time and could use some support. Yeah.
So I think what's helpful there is, again, for that person who's listening who might be older and wondering, how can I be of service? How can I still help? How can I have dignity by making a difference and by helping? That's a great way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then maybe for someone who's listening but isn't or doesn't identify with that life stage, what's a way, and I think it might be through these books, to be able to understand more of how they can care for someone who's aging and elderly?
There are lots of resources out there. In fact, I brought, I don't know, four or so.
Yeah. But, let's talk about a couple of them.
One by Kenneth Houck. It wrote one called Christian Caregiving as a Way of Life. And that's what I mean. Caring is everything. It really is a way of life. And you think, well, I volunteer. You volunteer for years. You volunteered with dads,
Mhm.
new dads to babies, right?
Yeah.
And that's such a service. That's such a gift. That's a way of caregiving.
Mm-hmm.
That even though you didn't say it's the church and the name of the church, you did it as a response to your faith.
Yeah.
And love of humans,
Yeah.
wanting to. So I just think there are all kinds of, it's a way of life. That's one of the points of this book. Another one is one anothering. It's just, there's so many examples in the scriptures. Let us pray for one another. Let us care for one another. Let us honor one another. Let us, there are a bunch of them. So
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's a deep, throughout the entire Bible, the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament, this idea that the community as containing all ages matters and needs to be cared for and connected to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And as we grow older, we tend to turn inward. Our worlds can sometimes get really small. And so I think that's when we need to encourage one another to stay connected to the community, because it's very easy to fall through the cracks if you don't have some connection to a Sunday school class or something. And I will just say, and I didn't make this in the sermon, but the way I have a list called Keeping My Eyes On. And it's quite a long list. I won't say what age I start with and go up, and then I look over the whole congregation. But if I don't have someone's birth date with the year they were born, they don't make it on my list, right? So I'll try to do the list for Easter lilies or Christmas poinsettias to send to some of our folks that I think could use a boost. And they don't show up on the list. And that's because finally I realized, I don't know what year you were born. So so that's how people can fall through the cracks. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense because it's data. In some ways it's data, and then they don't get pulled in some of your reports and that kind of thing. And I realize that might sound not the most spiritual thing in the world, but it makes a difference, because I think sometimes when we grow to a certain point, we need to have data to help us then be able to make those connections matter. I mean, this is a rough analogy, but like there were censuses all throughout the Bible, sort of to get the data on the community, so that the community could be cared for in some ways. Also to go to war, but we don't have to get into that part of it, but more so to be able to also care for the community. So I see what you're trying to do there. And to have that list, though, to keep your eyes on people so that they don't fall through the cracks.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Because
I think there is something that happens at any stage in life, but probably especially when you're older, your kids are out of the house, maybe some of your friends have passed away or moved away, that it can begin to feel like you don't have anybody around.
Who cares about me?
Yeah.
Which was a big part of it. It's all about caring.
Yeah. Well, one final thing, as we wrap up our Beyond the Sermon, is you are leaving on renewal leave.
I am.
So you're going to get 6 weeks to be away, to be apart, to do what you need to do to care for your soul. What do you have planned? And that's okay if there's nothing.
Yeah. Actually, it's becoming more something. First, I want to say that I'm really grateful for this gift. It's an incredible gift. It's nothing other than that I could say about that. And I was thinking about, some of the time I want to be with my family. I'm going to see that my kids for 1 week. I want to be with my husband, Clark, for part of the time. But I also want to be on my own, to see. And the Thomas Merton prayer, I have no idea where I'm going, but I know God's walking with me on that. And so a couple of things are gelling in that. But I was in a conversation with an Episcopal priest recently, and he said, while you're gone, don't think of it as you're by yourself, as though you have no friends, but imagine that you're on this journey with yourself. And I have been holding on to that I'm so excited to see what God is going to reveal to me, share with me in this. The last time I had a renewal leave, I was really pondering how long am I to be here? Because I've been here now 12 years, and that's a good amount of time. And I came away from that renewal leave solidly committed to saying, it was the prime timers. It was that everybody deserves to have someone walk with them throughout their whole life.
Mhm.
And it was a real affirmation to stay. And so that was just a thing that I learned on my last renewal leave, so several years ago. So I'm looking forward to see what God will reveal, and I'm excited for the renewal.
That's wonderful, Sally. Well, I know I'm excited for you. I know everybody online and in our community is excited for you as well. And we'll be praying for you over the next 6 weeks as you journey with yourself.
Thank you. Thank
So-
you. Maybe might share some pictures on Facebook. Who knows?
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Sermon, and we will see you next time.